everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you all are feeling all right. It's the start of July, which is a good time. There's still a lot of time left studying for the bar. My name is Maureen. I am the founder and creator of BarMD. We're a full service bar prep company. So we have stuff for every component of the bar exam, courses, we have supplements. I have 5 textbooks that I've written. Anything you could possibly need, we've got it, I'm sure. Short of, me taking the exam for you, but yeah. So just wanted to quickly introduce myself. Thank you all for being here. And if you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the chat or put them in the Q&A, and I will get to those at the end. I want to get through all of the information I have, which is just a lot of helpful tips, stuff to focus on for this last month of studying. So yeah, so let's get into it. Goals for today: understand and knowing really what study tools can help you in this last month of prep. Knowing where to focus your attention on the MBE. How do you adequately issue spot? I have a lot of people now that are really switching to, a lot of the people that I'm working with one-on-one are switching to issue spotting at this point. If they feel comfortable in a particular subject after they've done the requisite number of essays, which I will talk about, then I have them switch to issue spotting if I'm comfortable with how their analysis looks. And then also I have a list of good PTs for y'all to practice and some other stuff too. So some really good study tools that we have. So I have my podcast, which I haven't been updating recently, but I do have them recorded. It's on Spotify. You can find it there. I definitely recommend that you check that out. I do a lot of these black letter law reviews. So if you haven't listened to that, then it's good to just kind of listen to just as a verbal review. Let me get it pulled up here also. So I'll put the link here in the chat to everyone, and we'll send out links to all of this stuff after the fact too. So check that out. Definitely check that out. That's a really great free resource. I think a lot of you have probably seen my YouTube. I will give you a link also to my YouTube channel, which we have some videos there. We started a membership, so we're putting some of our videos there on the membership. But even if you don't sign up for that, they do get released to everybody after a short period of time. I also, for those of you, I think everybody here is taking the UBE. I just recently released my PT book for the MPT. So if you haven't started really prepping for the PT, I know a lot of people don't really do it until the last month. My PT book will walk you through how to do a PT. I think it's super helpful. I obviously think that, and I'll give you all a link to that as well. But there's 14 PTs in it, walking you through how to do each one. So I would definitely check that out as well. And it's the PT book is just online. We haven't sent it to print just yet. So it's just, you can view it online, but you can mark it up, all of that. And there's links in it for you to download the PTs that are in the book so that you can actually print them out, do them in hard copy on your own as well. So I'll put a link to that. It's a really helpful book. So it's $99 for the PT book. So 14 PTs, step-by-step instructions. I give you the formulas for writing. I show you how to write counter arguments, really how to do a PT step-by-step. And I talk you through different organizational strategies. All of that stuff is in there. So it's something that I've been asked for a very long time. So I'm so happy that it's out. We also have our essay book. So the essay book was created because I wanted to create templates that show you how to analyze any issue. So it's literally templates. And somebody in the chat just said I have the UBE essay book. It's a gift from God, honestly. Thank you. Thanks, Megan. But this is literally templates for how to write any single issue on the bar. What I did is I went through every single released MBE and wrote templates. And somebody asked, how long is a PT book? Can you just read it and be kind of prepared? You should absolutely read the introductory chapters 1 through 4, and that will help you a lot. I personally believe you absolutely need practice as well. But yeah, I think reading it, knowing exactly how to do a PT, getting those writing formulas down is really helpful. And then there's a link to the essay book, which I think I have a sample of if y'all want to see it. Yeah, here is a sample of, I'll drop it in the chat, the PDF, the sample. So you can have it, you can check out what it looks like. That's a complete chapter. I think it's my chapter on secure transactions. And actually, let me just show y'all a couple things with it. So here it is. Here's the sample. So yeah, this is secure transactions. And it just shows you definitions of different collateral types and then how to analyze. So here's how you would do a classification. if there's a classification dispute, I literally type out the analysis you would do. And then you just have to insert the facts and reasoning. You have to insert the collateral type from above. And what I do is, so I've gone through all of the issues that are in here. So like, let me show you all like attachment, right? Here's how you can write it. Here's the rule that I give you. And there's footnotes to tell you stuff, like to give you more explanations if you need it. So like explaining how it works. So sometimes one of the things that I see people struggle with is they don't know, like they know all of these rules, but they don't know how much of the rule to include. So I put the rule that you need, and then I explain it to you so that you know this is all you need to include here. And then this is more information just for your own knowledge. This book is available just digital. You can't download it and print it. I'm so sorry. I do that to protect my intellectual property because I don't want a PDF of it getting out there. It will be available for the next bar exam, but not for July. We just didn't want to, it's a lot to go into production. But I wanted to just make it available. So it shows you really how to analyze. I also include additional rules here. So like if you see a rule grayed out, that means you don't necessarily have to include that rule. You would include it when you need it. You would include it just really when you need it. And if you didn't have time. So if it's triggered by the facts or it's something that you can cut if you don't have time. And it's really in all of these footnotes, there's so much explanation telling you how to spot an issue, really what you need to do. But also like, here's a free chapter on secure transactions. So yeah, just wanted to share that with y'all. So dropped the sample in the chat. Somebody asked if I have a bundle for the PT and the essay book. I don't, because I don't really do discounts, but you can just get them together. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint. So that's the essay book. We also have a mock exam coming up that we will grade. So we have a full mock exam. You have the 6 essays, the 6 MEEs, plus the 2 PTs. We grade it. We give you scores for everything. So that's definitely something you want to check out that we do have. I also have, which is not on here because this is somewhat new, but we're doing these sessions on Sundays called Bar Essay Checkups. So they're each Sunday. And yes, the PT UBE book is digital. Yeah, it's digital. We're doing these things on Sundays where you show up for, it's from 4 to 9 East Coast time or 1 to 6 West Coast time. And you show up, I give you the material. So I give you the essays, I give you whatever it is that we're doing that day. And you show up, you have 3 hours to write. And then I do a quick 1-hour review walking you through the various issues. So it's really designed to kind of put you in that exam scenario. There's anywhere from like 50 to 80 people in each session. They're $25 each. And we have the next 3 coming up are focused. So the one that we have this coming Sunday is focused on MEE subjects. And then the two after that are like really designed to simulate an exam. So it's, let's see, it's designed to simulate an exam. It's mixed practice, and you don't know what subjects it is. So on the 14th, we are doing just like mixed essay subjects. And then on the 21st, we're doing 2 full PTs as practice. And somebody in here just said the Sunday sessions are so helpful. But there's a link to the one that's the mixed practice. And then here's the one that's 2 PTs. And these classes, I'll put a link. So I'm putting the links in the chat. So there they are. And we'll include these in the email. We'll send out a follow-up email to this as well. We also have the one coming up this weekend, this Sunday, and we are covering in that one family law, trust and estates, and conflicts. So that's this Sunday. We also have done them for every subject. We also did another one where I did 2 PTs, and they've all been recorded. So if you want to do these like practice sessions, you can get all of them just all together and get the recordings of the past ones plus the upcoming ones in a bundle. Somebody asked if there's any overlap between the essays assigned. There's a tiny bit. There's been like a couple of essays that are overlapped because I think it's still good to do that practice, but mostly for the most part, it's different. All right. 2 last things that I just want to mention. The quick sheets is really for California people, but UBE people do use them too. So I have this program called SARX. So one of the things that we want to talk about is issue spotting, is issue spotting. So, and I'm going to talk about doing this effectively soon, but the big key is you shouldn't just be grabbing and doing like a secure transactions essay or just doing a family law essay and just kind of grabbing a blind. It's important to practice different subjects, but you want to also make sure that you've seen the scope of topics within each subject. So that's really important. You can do this generally speaking by, just going through like a few years worth, you'll see kind of the range of essays, but we also have a database that has every single past essay and MPT along with the analysis sheets. and they're all organized by topic. So I'll show you all this too. So we have all of the essays, they're organized by subject. And then when you click on them, it'll take you here to like show you the various categories. So if you want to do individual rights, you click on this and it just gives you the individual rights questions. If you want to do nature of judicial review, it just gives you the nature of judicial review, which there aren't any actually, which is interesting. Relation of nations and states, separation of powers. Yeah, so you can see everything in here. So let's see if I go back one more. You also have the PTs in here. There's a couple that I'm actually still assigning that we've just uploaded. All the PTs are in here. So you have objective PTs, objective and persuasive combos, or just persuasive. I'll give you a link to where you can find this. This is called SARX. It's literally everything. I'll put a link right down here. And then everything has every essay and the PT, they have the analysis sheets as well. So if you click on the essays, so if you go like civil procedure, if you click on it and you want to look at this question, you scroll down, you can then see, it says selected answer A, I should say point sheet, but it's the analysis sheet that you have. And yeah, so somebody said to recap, this Sunday and next Sunday are MBE review. Yeah, those two are MBE review. This Sunday, you will know the subjects, but you won't know the topics. The following Sunday on the 14th, you won't know what subjects you're getting. So it's really designed to simulate the exam. And then the third one on the 21st is 2 PTs. And then I will review them and you'll get an objective and a persuasive. And there's usually one that's a bit more difficult as well. SARX is specific to the UBE. I have it for both California and for UBE. We have separate ones. So yeah, there's a lot in there. There's a ton in there. It's really, really helpful. That's where I always go to pull stuff, to pull materials. And then we have quick sheets, which are my memorization sheets. These I wrote for California. That's why there's the asterisk, but they do cover, obviously there's a ton of overlap. So this is just like a sheet, or it's every subject broken down into like really the nuts and bolts of what you need to know and make it easy to memorize. So, all right, I'm going to talk about MBEs. Now I'm going to get into a lot of this, like what should you be focused on? So in MBEs, I often talk about the heavy hitter categories. This is where you have a lot more questions. So if you're using AdaptABAR or UWorld, you want to really look at each of these topics to make sure you're doing really well. You should also look at the other topics as well, obviously, but you know, if you are not doing well in one of these, you're more likely to get stuff wrong. So in civil procedure, 2/3 of the questions you get will be on jurisdiction and venue, pretrial procedures, and motions. One thing that I want to mention about CivPro, and I also have a little table of the motions that is in this presentation, and I think we can send out a PDF of it to everybody after the fact, so we can attach it. You'll get it, I think, in the next day or two. So yeah, 2/3 of the questions are on jurisdiction and venue, pretrial procedures, and motions. Within each of these, you really want to go through your questions and see, like, what is it that you're missing in jurisdiction and venue and pretrial procedures? In jurisdiction and venue, what people tend to miss is it's usually within subject matter jurisdiction. I see a lot of people missing stuff in removal and in supplemental jurisdiction. It's usually in those two things that I see a lot of because there's so many little technical requirements. Pretrial procedure, it's usually joinder and a lot of Rule 11 or other sanctions. So joinder issues, that's like all of your joinder of parties, your joinder of claims, you know, your intervention in pleader, interpleader, class actions, all of that type of stuff falls under pretrial procedures. So you really want to go into each subject and like understand, you know, you don't just want to be like, all right, I'm not doing well in CivPro, let me just attack CivPro broadly. You want to go in really like with, you know, precision and look at what it is that you're missing. So go into each subject. You should use the MBE subject matter outline, which I'll give you all a link to it in the chat from the NCBE. This tells you within each topic what is tested within that topic. So like within pretrial procedures, because to me, that's not very obvious. So you look and you're like, okay, it's all of these topics. So you want to make sure that you're good with, you know, all of these, but also look, do you tend to miss like Rule 11? Do you tend to miss, like what I said, a lot of people miss joinder of parties and claims. So a lot of those issues, also a bit of discovery. And then within motions too, like I see a lot of people missing stuff about JMOL, RJMOL, motion for a new trial, motion for relief from judgment. It's like a lot with those four in particular. So you really want to just go in and look at these particular topics and see what it is that you're missing, which is really easy to do within AdaptABAR. a little tougher with UWorld. Contracts, half your contracts questions. So like you're gonna get 6 questions in formation, 6 questions on performance breach and discharge approximately. So you want to know, you really want to be familiar with, what is it that you're missing within each of these. Formation, what I tend to see people miss is consideration questions and a lot of the exceptions to consideration. So pre-existing duty and exceptions to the pre-existing duty rule. This is really where there's a lot of the exception to the exception that you need to know. So go in and look at his information. Also, another thing that happens quite often is that you have to identify the point of contract formation. So has there been, is there an offer? Has there been acceptance? If you're not pinpointing it and keeping track, you really need to keep track of what's going on. Like, I think the key to doing well in the MBE is just taking like shorthand notes as you go. It helps so much just to track what's going on because you won't remember. There's so much happening, especially in contracts and property problems. So if you just take little notes, it helps you so much. Like we have an MBE class and I will diagram, what's going on in the questions. And I tutor people for the MBE all day in and day out. And that's often a lot of what I'm doing is showing them how to do that effectively. And then your performance breach and discharge, identifying who is the breaching party is a big thing. And how is the breach? And also like a tip, it's so big, but I see people do this all the time, is within contracts, just every single contract questions identify, are you in common law or UCC? Because people will pick the answer that's just the wrong applicable law. They'll say that, oh, it's modification, you need consideration when it's UCC and you don't need consideration. And also for even if it's common law, you don't need consideration for a modification if it's fair and reasonable. So if there's like impracticability involved. So just really seeing all of that stuff, being familiar with what is it particularly that you are missing, and go in. Don't just throw more questions at it. Be really precise, really dig in. Another thing that I've been noticing a lot is when you look at the answer choices, right? A lot of it is just the way the answer choices are written and it doesn't make sense necessarily. So when you see like, okay, this is how, like, for example, in civil procedure, if we're talking about relation back, if it says, the court won't allow it because it's futile. Well, that's just the standard, right? Is a court won't allow you to add another party if you were aware of the party within the statute of limitations and you didn't add them. Then they just say no because joinder would be futile. And that's how they say it. So it's just knowing, okay, well, in the language of the bar writers, of the MBE writers, what does this actually mean? So really just getting familiar with all of that stuff. All right. Con law, half of your con law questions are on individual rights. Usually this centers around the various standards. So really knowing who is the burden on to prove. So is it on the state or is it on the plaintiff? And then what is the standard, strict, intermediate, etc. Torts, half your questions are on negligence. Yeah, half your questions are on negligence. And I think really within negligence, and I have an MBE book where I have all the law laid out really nicely. And if you're having trouble in a particular area, it's really helpful because with the MBE book, the way I did it is I went through every single subtopic on the MBE subject matter outline. I covered all of the law. So all of the laws in there, I did it in really helpful ways, tables, etc. And then there are questions testing you just on those specific areas of law. So the MBE book, I think, is really helpful. So you can go in and see, like, okay, within negligence, what is it that I'm missing? Are you missing duty questions? Are you missing landowner questions? What is it that you're missing? So really pay attention and go in with incredible precision. That is like the biggest thing when you're practicing, because you can choose an adaptive or a UWorld. Adaptive is nice because it does just give you your weaknesses, but you also want to be aware of what your weaknesses are specifically. Another thing with working with your MBE questions is if you are, when you miss a question, a lot of people are like, okay, I put the black letter law on a flashcard, but do more than that. Also make a note of like, this is what this looks like. So give a fact trigger as well. That also can be really helpful. So I definitely recommend doing that as well. Evidence is fairly evenly split, but there is definitely more questions on relevance, presentation of evidence, and hearsay. Within relevance, that is what people miss mostly is character. Presentation of evidence is usually impeachment that people is missing. And in hearsay, the thing that I think people don't identify is when is something being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. That's the thing that I think that people struggle with the most. So focus on these three, really look at like is with your relevance. And the thing that I like to do is I like to pull up a report of what somebody has missed. For example, in AdaptBar, you can do this. You can't do it in UWorld, but I can pull up all of the missed questions that somebody has in relevance, and I can go through it as a PDF, and I'd be like, okay, this one is character. This is actually just like logical relevance, and look at the character questions together, because then you can really see like the contours of the rule and all of the little nitty gritty exceptions. So if you're using AdaptBar, I highly recommend that you do that, because it's just so helpful to see all the questions in a particular topic that you have missed. So you can do that. If somebody at the end wants to give me their AdaptBar login, which is like, I won't keep it, but I can show you how to pull those specific reports. If anybody wants to tell me now that they want to do that, then yeah, I'll save that to the end. Property, you have the 5 topics. They're all equal. Mortgages, titles, real estate contracts, ownership, and something else. Oh, so okay, thanks. Yeah, so I'll definitely do that. And also nice to see you. So, okay, a bunch of people have said yeah. And AdaptBar questions from NCBE, I won't show any of the questions due to licensing issues. But yeah, AdaptBar uses the NCBE questions. So does UWorld. They also have their own questions that they have written mixed in the database. So, but they both do have all of the NCBE questions. Crim is equally split between Crim and Crim Pro. I generally see people missing more in Crim Pro than in Crim. So, and the thing that I don't love is that Crim Pro is just considered one category. So you should dig into your Crim Pro and see what it is that you're missing. You're missing a lot of Fourth Amendment questions, Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, any of those things. You want to really look at that and see what it is that you are missing in there. And actually, let me just show y'all, because I've got a bunch of people giving me their login. So give me 1 second and I'll try to block the name. So I'm logged into somebody's AdaptBar dashboard and I go to, so first of all, like a couple of things just really helpful I look at the subject, like, okay, they've done a good amount of questions. And I like to really look at how are they doing a little bit more recently, like over the last month. So I can see, okay, you can see your improvement overall, because we usually start lower and then start improving. So they're doing all right. So I like to look at that. And then I like to go to performance, click on past questions. And then you can click like on civil procedure. I can click jurisdiction and venue, and I can restrict the dates. I can restrict just the incorrect. So I deselect correct. So just incorrect is highlighted orange. And I can pull all of the questions. So here's the 16 questions this person has missed in jurisdiction and venue. So I generate report, and then I can click on the top right and click export to PDF. If they've taken notes, you want the notes. And then usually it'll say like pop-up window blocked. At least for me, I'm on a Mac. So I can pull this up, and then it gives me a PDF. And I won't show the questions just because of licensing, but it gives me the PDF. I can download it by clicking on this little download arrow. And you can do that all in here. And I like to look at those questions just side by side to see the contours, to make sure that I understand everything, and make sure that you understand not just the correct answer and the rule that was being tested, but like what facts trigger that issue. What is wrong with the answer that you selected? What's wrong with the other 2 answers? When would the answer you selected be correct? Could it ever be correct? How could you modify it to make it correct? So really getting into like the minds of the people that wrote it, so that you understand where you went wrong. So that's how I pull those questions. And I go through what I do is I have an iPad that I can write on, but you can also print those out and like mark them up, circle everything. Here's this table on motions. Yeah, here's some table on motions as well. So we will include this in the attachment that we send out as a thank you for coming to this or for registering for this. So you'll get this table that has my notes on these various motions that people miss a lot. All right, so issue spotting. Now we're shifting over to talk essays. So issue spotting, SARX is really, really good for this. SARX is a tool that I designed really to use in the last month of bar prep. So it's really perfect for right now. So what you should do when you're issue spotting is you grab an essay, right? It might be an unknown subject or topic, or you might know the subject, and go through the essay and issue spot. Say, what are the issues in here? What are the precise issues? And jot down all of and like you can type this, you can handwrite it either way, but write your headings and your subheadings without looking at the answer. Just jot them down. This is the precise issues. Try to identify the relevant facts you would you would use in your analysis and triage the issues, identify which issues are going to take you more time. You've got to do this before you start writing, otherwise you will run out of time. And also, like, you don't want to, this is not, by the way, this is just an issue spotting exercise. This is not how I would recommend doing the bar at all. Like for writing essays, I take a different approach. This is just a practice right now exercise. Let me actually take a step back too. For issue spotting, if you feel comfortable in a subject, then you can switch to issue spotting essays instead of writing them in full. If you're like, I know how to analyze torts, I know how to do a negligence analysis, I know how to do this and that and the other, fine. Just issue spot then essays in that subject. If you're totally uncomfortable, you need to get comfortable. And the way to get comfortable or get more comfortable, I guess I say get less uncomfortable. The way to do that is through practice. And so you have to be willing to just like sit in that discomfort and go through it in order to get better at it. So if there is an essay that you see and you're like, oh my God, if I got this on the bar, I don't know what I would do, write that essay. Write that essay. That is what you need to do so that you practice it now. The whole key for, and particularly on the MBE, because they are so specific, is you want exposure to as many essays as possible. So that's why it's like you have your last month. There's the caveat, like you do need to write essays still in full, but for where you feel okay, you can switch to this. And also like, it's easier to do this. So at the end of the day, maybe you're going to write some essays during the day. And at the end of the day, you're gonna do some issue spotting instead, just to get exposure to more and more essays. So jot down, read through the fact pattern, identify what all of the issues are. Sorry, my dog wants to join us now. Write down your headings and your subheadings, place the relevant facts that you would use under that issue so that you're thinking about what facts are used in that issue and what facts trigger that issue. Triage them, decide where the points are, and then take about 5 minutes and write your rules. So take about 5 minutes, write your rules, don't go nuts, keep it really basic. You're not aiming for perfection. And one of the things that pains me the most is when I see somebody that has spotted issues and has written rules, but is completely lacking in analysis, or it's just the analysis is so shallow. We know that you know the rule through your analysis. So like, don't write a ton of rules. Yeah. If you're having trouble with your analysis and like how to analyze particular issues, that's really what my essay book is for. I literally write the analysis and it's fill in the blank. Like you fill in the relevant facts. And yeah, so that's really the biggest thing other than like tutoring, I think, for improving on your analytical skills. And then self-assess. So precision in your issue spotting, did you get the right issue? And I know that the analysis sheets that the NCBE gives are really overwhelming. The thing that I think is the most helpful from them is to look at their headings that they give you, because that really tells you the issue and it kind of gets to the relevant facts. So focus on that to see, did you hit the exact issues that they were looking for? That's what I always focus in on. So precision in your issue spotting. And this is really where you want to be highly, highly critical. You're not like, well, I basically said that. That doesn't cut it. I want precision. You don't have to use all of the exact same words that they use in those sheets, but I want absolute precision in the issue spotting. Did you know the rule, or did you see it and you're like, oh, I know what this is, but I don't know what it is. Anytime you see a rule that you're just like, couldn't remember, you should make a flashcard of that rule. Do something to then quiz yourself on it later, because the memorization comes through repetition. It really comes through repetition. And then did you identify the right facts? In the point sheet, when you looked at the facts in their analysis, did they use facts that you didn't use? Did they not use the facts that you used? So look at the precision. This is also really where it's good to have a buddy that you can sort of swap with. And also, if you do the essay checkups that I do, I talk about this stuff in those sessions. So this issue spotting, this is what I would recommend that you can. The issue spotting, you don't write the analysis in full unless you look at it and you're scared of it. Then you should write it. Yeah, then you should write it. But issue spotting is spotting the issue, and then it's writing the rule to work on your memorization. Just on that note, you should be doing some memorization every day. I don't know why people say, oh, don't worry about memorization, it comes at the end. It's not. It doesn't come at the end. So SARX is the database. Somebody asked me, what is SARX? SARX is that database I showed that has all of the last essays and performance tests. It's this one here that shows you. That has all of the past essays organized by topic in here. So it's not a class, it's a database, it's a tool that you can use. And then when you click on it, it does have the analysis sheets. And I know there's a bunch of stuff in the Q&A, and I'll get to that as well at the end. Okay, let me go back. And we're going to talk PTs for a second. Oops. PTs, you should absolutely come to my PT like checkups. Also, it's not too late to do the PT class that we have. It's not too late to do that. A lot of people can, you can do the recorded version of it and work through it. And somebody asked, is issue spotting the same as outlining MEEs? Yeah, basically. And somebody else said a 10 out of 10 recommend the checkups. Thank you. Yeah, and each checkup, each session is $25. And it includes the essays, the packets, the answers that I write, etc. So somebody asked, how do you select specific topics, subtopics to practice specific stuff? That's where I would use SARX so that you know that you're hitting everything. Somebody asked if I would suggest getting Adaptive Bar over UWorld. I want to suggest getting it in addition to it now. No. But if you're like talking about for a later bar exam, yes, I like Adaptive Bar better. But a lot of people like UWorld better. I do think outlining essays right now, if you're comfortable in a subject, I recommend doing this now just to get more exposure to essays. All right, let's talk PTs. And Danielle, are the answers with the PTs in the book? I'm not sure what you're referring to. And somebody asked, does the PT book have colored highlighted stuff? Yes, it does. My PT book, the thing that's nice is I walk you through step by step how to do a PT. In the beginning, I have color. A lot of people like I do this color coding, this visual representation to show you what is what. That's in the book. And then in the PT book, you get my marked up file and library. So you can see how I'm dissecting a file, dissecting a library, and you get my step-by-step answer. So yeah, you do get that. And yeah, you get full answers. And then PT. Oh, and this is a little promo I'm doing. I'll talk about in a second. So if you were doing California, this is what you would do. But for your MPTs, these are free ones that are available on the MPT website. These are some really good PTs that I recommend that are available for free, that I have sort of vetted and said, yes, these are good to do. Case Struckman is pretty difficult, so timing wise. So I would do this one once you're feeling good and you feel like you know how to make a strategic decision. But I think that all of these are really great PTs. You can get them from the NCBE website. I'll put the link. My answers in my book are not perfect. They're examples of what can be done in 90 minutes. So yeah, and all of these links, we will put links to everything in an email that you're going to get, I think tomorrow. They do not ever repeat PTs. Yeah, and you can keep your PT book. It's digital, and we will be going into print as well. So if for some reason you wanted to get it in print later, you can. We'll have information about that too. So these are great performance tests to practice. I would definitely recommend coming to the checkup session for the PTs. And then I am doing a promotion, which is I will personally grade 3 PTs. They are specific ones. Usually it's 175 for us to grade something, but I'm doing a thing and I don't ever grade, but I'm doing a promo. We don't have a lot of spots for it left. Don't have a lot of spots left, but I'm doing it 3 for 300 instead of 375. So I'll put the link to that as well. We'll send out a link if that is something you're interested in. And then I'm going to go through the questions as well. Oh, it's actually not. We'll have to just send that out to y'all because it's not even on our website at the moment. And then after you do a PT, these are the things that you should be looking at. Did you follow the format of the score sheet if they give you one? And if not, what did you do differently and why? Does yours make sense? People often get worried about, theirs not looking exactly like, organized in the same way. And it's okay. You can organize PTs different ways. As long as it's logical, it's easy to follow, it's okay. So that's something I wouldn't totally freak out about. Unless they told you explicitly do this and then this and then this, things can be done different ways. There are some different PTs in the book. There are some of the same that are in the class from the PT book, but there are a lot that are different too. Issue spotting. Did you catch all of the issues? That's really a big thing. And if not, what did you miss? Why did you miss it? And then did you include relevant text of the key rules? If you missed something, why did you miss it? Did you skip over it? Did you just not see it? So really identifying what are the things that you're missing with the PT, and did you do your analysis? A huge part of it, of this is focusing on the analysis. Are you comparing and contrasting to the cases in the library? Did you apply all of the rules to your fact pattern? So really focusing on the analysis, and are you pushing through to get to that analysis? So many people just get totally hung up in typing out rules, and you want to really look at like, what do I need to include? What do I not need to include? So really keep track of your timing. And there's some free videos on YouTube that you can definitely check out where I walk through that, also in our free course too. And extracting the relevant facts from the file. Did you miss a fact? Did you include a counter argument? You need to include counter arguments, at least one in a PT, at least one, ideally two, but at least one. All right, I'm going to go through the Q&As. So somebody said in a DAC bar, is there a way to select subtopics to practice and under practice mode? No, it's only under exam mode. You can do the subtopics when you go to practice exams, and you can select them that way. Somebody asked how many 200 MBE question sets I would do before the exam. I wouldn't do more than 2. I usually recommend people do a couple sets of 50, and then a set or 2 of 100, and then 1 set of 200. So I like to break it up just to really work on the endurance. And then some more questions in the chat. Recommendations for someone working full time and you're not taking time off my recommendation is to really focus on the issue spotting, focus on the exposure, just to various fact patterns, and really just trying to make the most of your time doing 2 sets of 17 MBEs a day. You're going to spend the least amount of time just actually reviewing the black letter law. Focus on your practice. Advice for accommodated test takers, I have to know a lot more specifically about that, so it's a little tough to answer. All right, let me look at some of these more. No, the 3 PTs, that I grade is a little bit different. We're sending out a link to that. We're sending out a link. Also, the session that everybody loves is I do a thing. It's on the 14th, is it, or the 12th? It's 2 weeks from today. Is it the 16th? I think it's on the 16th. It's 2 weeks before the bar. Yeah, it's on the 16th. I am doing a session called the final forecast. That is something that every single one of you should join. What I do in that session, it addresses a lot of the questions I'm getting. I give you a schedule for the last 2 weeks. I give you a packet of essays to focus on for the last 2 weeks that is tailored to the upcoming bar exam. I talk about every single subject that and what has and has not been tested recently, so you know what to focus on. Talk about frequently tested issues in every single subject. So, and then I give you a packet of essays to practice. I refer you to specific PTs that I think are really good to do. Some of those are in this presentation as well. So that session is something that like you don't want to miss. Let's see. And here's the link for the UBE one. And this is like probably one of the most popular things that we do is that. So that is, yeah, the last 2 weeks for the bar. So like that you do not want to miss. Let's see. Somebody asked a daily schedule I recommend. They were saying 50 MBEs a day, 40 MBEs is obviously for someone not working, 2 MDTs a week. I like the 4 MBEs a day. I think that's good. That's probably pushing it a little bit, but I like that. That's really probably 5 hours of work right there. 2 PTs a week, that's good. 50 MBEs is good. It can be a little tough. Make sure that the thing that's important is to make sure that you have enough time to do a deep review of every single thing. Essay checklists, they don't come with my mnemonics, no. MBE questions you get wrong, keep a log, make a flashcard with the rule that you missed, understand the fact triggers of what you missed. If you haven't been memorizing rules, where do you start? I would probably start on MBE rule statements. Like, what do you need to know? All of those issues, etc. And Hien Song, no, that's not the right thing. We'll send out an email with it, with the 3 PTs. It's not even on the website. I don't advertise it because there's a limited number that we do. There's a limited number that I do. And so there's not a lot left, but we'll send out an email for people that want to sign up for that. How many MEEs do I recommend a day? A minimum of 2, ideally 4, ideally 3 or 4. And that can be some issue spotting too. And switch up your subjects. Don't do the same subjects over and over. Don't do like 4 of the same. All right, I think that's it, everybody. I wanted to keep this under an hour to let you guys get back to studying. Good luck. If you guys need anything, please feel free to email us. You can email me at hello@bar-md.com. And I'm Maureen. If you guys need anything at all, we'll send out links with everything I talked about. You'll get an email that's like very link heavy, so I apologize in advance, but everything that I've talked about today will be in there. So thanks so much for joining me. Good luck studying. Hopefully I see you guys soon. And good luck. Hopefully you all pass and I don't see you back here, for the February bar. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your night. Good luck. Bye.